Hey guys, today we're going to unbox the Artsnacks Inktober 2018 collection and see what we can make with it. Let's go! So this is my first time getting a art subscription box. I'm so excited. This is what the box looked like. It's just a white box. It's got its label on it. And then we open it up and it has this wonderful orange tissue paper. I was just so excited to receive this in the mail, guys. I don't really have a lot of expensive art supplies, and this was going to be my first time ever having really cool professional stuff. So here I am carefully opening the tissue paper. I like to save everything, and let's start with the menu that they give us. Has all the art supplies, and the Inktober one had the schedule for the 31 prompts that Jake Parker makes. And then I dive right in and go for this first pen here, the Copic Gas and Food brush pen. It says it's great for calligraphy. It's filled with a water-based pigment. And then next up was the Dr. Martens Black Star Matte India ink. It seems like just a bottle of ink. I have some India ink before, but I've never had Dr. P.H. Martens, and I'm really excited to use this. I love using like calligraphy ink or dip ink. And the next one was a Bombay India ink in violet. That one I am so excited to use. It looks gorgeous. I love purple. Next up was these two tools. One was a Princeton Series 450 Heritage Synthetic Sable Round Brush. And this is my first really nice paintbrush, and it's nice and thin. And then the other one, the calligraphy nib holder with a nib, was the EM Gemini nib holder with nib. And I'm also really excited about that. I've never had a dip pen before. And both of these are really fine points, which is what I like to work with, getting rid of some trash. The next thing I picked up were the Kuretake Zig Cartoonist Mangaka pens in an assortment. It seems like they came with a 0.1 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter, and a 0.8 millimeter. And then next up was this Inktober pencil case that they made. It's a travel case. I absolutely love this. It's nice and big. It can fit my markers, all my pencils, all the supplies from this Inktober box, and it's all nice and sectioned off and organized, and I love that. Then, of course, the all-important snack, the Cherry Airhead, which is a cherry airhead. And then this awesome sketchbook and Inktober sticker from Jake Parker. That's one of his designs. And the paper inside, I'm not sure how I like it. It feels like magazine pages, but it's nice and thick. It's just very glossy, and I've never used a sketchbook with that kind of paper before. So I was a little apprehensive, but I do love this sketchbook. It's so cute. I'll be honest though, getting into this, I really had no idea what to draw. Even though I loved the art supplies, I just was not feeling any inspiration. So I decided to play around with them and give them a couple of swatches and figure out just what these were good for. And then proceeded to use none of that information to create what I decided to create with it. So these two inks that I'm laying out on the plate are the Bombay ink and the India ink. And I set those aside to use with the Princeton brush. One thing I did end up doing was using other supplies in this. I used just some Walmart brand brushes that were a little bigger because I wanted to create some washes of color later on. But isn't that purple just absolutely gorgeous? It is so beautiful, whether it's in its watered down version or its full on pigmented version. It was so gorgeous. Once again, The paper I found I really, really didn't like. I usually use mixed media paper, which is very heavy, very almost kind of like watercolor paper. And this paper just buckled and wasn't good for what I was trying to do. I'm also left-handed, so it smeared the ink a lot because I'm not very conscious of making my drawings from right to left or whatever the correct direction is. But here I am testing out how I could water down this ink. I think it would look a lot better on different paper. And I'm just playing around trying to get a feel for the brush and what the ink can do on this paper. Once again, didn't get a great handle on that. But I did end up trying some different techniques and trying to have some fun with it, despite the difficulties I had using this paper. While I'm testing that out, how about a poll? Have you guys ever had an art subscription box? Yes or no? And if you have, did you like everything you got in the box? Did you like a mix of what you got in the box? Or did you just hate it all? Tell me all about it. Eventually, what I ended up going with was that little doodle of my dog, Teddy. He actually passed away, sadly, but I wanted to do like a little kind of pet portrait in my style of him, in that little doodle style. And so I started off making a big, huge, watery puddle on this paper that does not handle water well, and tried to put my ink into it so that it would spread out like it does on those Instagram videos. I tried this 3 different times, and you're gonna see all the failures. The first time I was joined by my landlady's cat, Shaban, and she was very curious as to what I was doing. I was very curious as to what I was doing because it was not working. But the first one was just not in a circle and not what I wanted it to look like. The water kept drying before the ink could spread out. There was just a bunch of problems. I didn't like it. I tried fixing it. I tried doing everything I could to make this page work because I had used so much ink on it. But it just didn't. It just didn't work. It didn't work at all. So now that page in my sketchbook just has a lovely blotch of misshapen ink. So then my second time, I actually made the circle of water and the ink spread out beautifully. It was gorgeous. Everything was working correctly. Everything was what I wanted. And then I went to draw my dog on this ink circle and discovered that it wouldn't work out the way I wanted it to because the dark splotches of ink were where I wanted to draw my dog and you couldn't see him. But I tried. I kept going, as you can see. I decided to write his name. It was Teddy, and of course my last name is Lido. And then I used the calligraphy pen. I tried to use all these supplies. So I used the calligraphy pen to make these branches, which actually on this page I really liked. I think if I just made like one of those Instagram quotes in this circle with like thick black lines, it would have worked very well, but I didn't. I drew my dog and it didn't work very well, but it still looks okay. I just wasn't super happy with it, and tried for the third and final time. I also ended up using a Posca pen in here, and you can also see the paintbrush that I used that was not part of the Inktober collection, so I cheated a little, but this box wasn't an Artsnacks challenge, it was an Inktober challenge, and these are my supplies for Inktober that I'm going to use anyways. So here I am using the Copic pen, the Gas and Food brush pen. I like brush pens, I want to be good at using them, I'm not. And then I used a white Posca to try and differentiate my dog from the background, and then tried to make a nice gray out of my black, but as you can see, the dark spots that were underneath just weren't helping me. While I do like this one, and it's cute, it just wasn't what I was looking for. I also made my dog drawing too small in the circle. He should have been bigger. There were just a lot of things that weren't working out in this one, so I tried a third drawing that I ended up using as my final drawing. And it's okay if you make things that you don't like and have to try it over again. You don't have to get it right on the first on the first try every time. So finally I used what I had learned, and I made just a circle that is just a ring, and dipped my ink into it, and it looked lovely. I made sure to get a lot of water on that page, which the paper can't handle, but it was okay. And then I think my biggest mistake in this piece was not using the calligraphy pen to create the branches like I did in the last one. I ended up using, I think, the brush pen, and it just made things, I don't have enough control of it. It just made things not what I wanted it to look like. And then I wrote his name again with the calligraphy pen, because that seemed like the correct thing to use the pen for. Just Teddy Ledo. Ledo. A lot of people mispronounce my last name and say it's Ledoux or Leto. It's not. It's Ledo, like Ledo's Pizza. But I did his name while I was waiting for the purple ink to dry, so that way I could draw the branches over it. And then I took what I learned from the last circle and drew my dog much bigger. I drew him so big that he ended up intersecting the ring a little bit on his ear. So, there's just a lot of imperfections everywhere with this piece. But I did end up quite happy with this finished one, just because I really had no idea what I wanted to do with these supplies. And I was pressuring myself so bad to make something really cool for the video, and I just wanted to draw my dog, and so I did. And I really like my style that I have for him, because it gives him this cute little beard in his face, and it really brings my dog his personality, that was who he was. And so I use the brush pen to fill in the big black spots, and then make little lines for his beard. And then I used some watered down ink to color him in gray. He was gray and tan. He was kind of like a Yorkie, but what he was a Silky Terrier, and they're a mix between a Yorkie and an Australian Terrier. But they are their own breed. And so I colored him in and started with his little eyebrows, and the right eyebrow did not want to cooperate. The ink was too wet, and I felt it wouldn't dry onto the eyebrow, so I tried to dry it, and then I took up all the pigment with me. And so you'll see me try to have less watered down ink while still having the same gray that I used for the other eyebrow. Something I did love about this ink was that once it was dry, it was waterproof. I ended up using ink wash over the lines that I had made on his beard, and it worked out just fine. The ink didn't budge, and that's kind of what I love about India ink and using paintbrushes for it. It just, once it's dry, it's there. It's on the page, and it's not moving anywhere. I'd love to test it out with my markers. I have Prismacolor and Copic markers, and see how well that holds up. Here I am trying to make the branches again. Like I said, I think I made them too thick, and my lines were really shaky at this point because I was trying not to smudge the ink. I should have used either one of the technical pens or the calligraphy pen like I used in the last one, which made the lines look really nice and delicate. But I think it gives it a more Halloween-y feel somehow, even though this drawing had nothing to do with fall. I think the thicker vines give it a spooky kind of look. So this was my finished product. It was a really quick drawing, and I just wanted to draw my dog, and so I did, and I was kind of sad that I didn't do something more epic, I guess. But here's what I made with these supplies. I am so ready for Inktober. I'm so excited to share with you guys the story that I made, and I hope you join me this whole month as I go through that story. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video. Check out my Inktober stuff that is upcoming, and I will see you guys soon. Goodbye, everyone.